We're going to start with the tournament and course information. Now, I like to go over each and every hole of each and every golf course for every tournament and try to figure out what shot is beneficial at this golf course. Not so much what is needed. Sometimes I will say, you know, in the description here, I will say if it's a needed shot shape. I just encourage you guys to pause the video, change the settings. What's it called? Change the definition to 1080p. I forget what that's. I seriously mind blank right now. Change the definition of the video to 1080p. Pause the video. Read the description if you're interested in it. If not, that's fine. No big deal. You can already see that I have fade. A fade shot shape here at this golf course is fairly beneficial. That is a right-handed left to right shot shape. Now, I don't have a single draw on here that says that would be beneficial for this golf course. If we look at, you know, like past top 10s, past top 5s, we can look Sam Burns. He's your defending champion. He's back-to-back champion, by the way. He hits a fade. Davis Riley hits a fade. Justin Thomas hits a fade. Neesmith hits a fade. Matt Fitzpatrick, I think he shapes it both directions. I'm pretty sure he hits a draw. Brian Harmon, a lefty who hits a draw. That's a fade if you're going right-handed, but obviously he hits a left to right shot shape. If I said right to left, I'm sorry. I meant to say left to right shot shape. Sahith Theegala, I've seen him do both. I'm not positive. Sink hits a draw. Streelman hits a fade. Hadwin shapes it both directions. Streb hits a fade. Brooks Koepka hits a fade. I'm not going to continue going on there. Burns hits a fade. Keegan Bradley hits a draw. Hovland hits a fade. I forget what Tringali does. Abram Answer, I think he kind of shapes it both directions. I can't remember. I mean, he's obviously on the Live Tour now. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what I see him do most of the time. I think it's a fade. Not sure what Vaughn Taylor does. Homa hits a draw most of the time. Obviously, in his repertoire now, he can shape it both directions, but in 2021, I think it was mostly a draw. Oosthuizen hits a draw. Merritt, I'm not sure. And Joaquin Niemann hits a draw. So in 2021, we had a lot of draw golfers. 2019, Paul Casey was a back-to-back champion. They both hit draws. Kokrak and Patrick Reed hit draws. Tiger in 2018, he can shape it both directions. Oosthuizen hits a draw. So as much as I say a fade is beneficial at this golf course, there are plenty of draw golfers that find their way inside the top 10. So I always say this every single week. Yes, I do have benefits. What I think is a preferred shot shape on here. It's not an end-all be-all. If you have a tiebreaker between two golfers, maybe that's how you use it. Otherwise, other than that, probably just ignore it. Really, it would be... It'd be nice to kind of... well... you know, I record this data in my cheat sheets. You can see I have a shot shape column. I could probably analyze every single week, you know, every single year for the tournament and just see what shot shapes that I have down for these golfers and try to figure it out from there. But I mean, it's not complete just yet. Hopefully at some point in time it will be. Anyways, I don't have to continue going on with which shot shapes preferred. That's what I usually like to talk about with the golf course. Now, it is a par 71, 7,300 yards. I believe it's at sea level, so the course does play fairly long. It is a tough golf course. I mean, if we were to look at your winning score, minus 17 is pretty low, to be quite honest. When we look at previous years, we see somewhere between, you know, single digits to 14 under. And that was just once. So I think if the, you know, I don't have the weather details for 2021, 2022, but I imagine weather conditions didn't really hurt this tournament. I think if wind were to come through, this course becomes a little bit more challenging. So what should you do with that kind of information? Well, if you have the opportunity, the ability to research based off of scoring conditions, say somewhere between 10 under to 14 under. That's probably the best, just to see who tends to play better versus their baseline. If you could do something like that, if you could research anything like that, that's probably the best way. I think you could even use surface level analysis and just grab, you know, put into your criteria -10 to -14 winning score and just see what the average finishing position for some of these golfers are. And then just put that in your model somehow. You know, I wouldn't just look at the top of that list and go and grab 6 golfers that fit in the lineup. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but I think maybe you give those golfers a little bit of a boost in your scoring models. I think that's the best way to do anything like that. Also, the architect, oh my God, I'm not even going to guess. I think it's Donald Ross. I'm not positive off the top of my head. Let me just double check. And what you could do with that as well is use that as your research tools as well. Larry Packard is your architect. Yeah, Donald Ross. Nope. You could use that if he has other golf courses on tour. Certainly could do that, but I think that's a bit noisy. I don't necessarily think that's going to help you find golfers, and especially not optimal lineup golfers. So just more stuff to add to your research. I don't think it really necessarily matters. I don't care for how many par 3s there are. Looks like there's 5 par 3s, 9 par 4s, and 4 par 5s. You can do, I mean, if you want to get that into the weeds, you certainly can. Not going to really worry about it. I personally think your best way to do this is probably just go by scoring conditions. 10 under to 14 under, add that to your model somehow, and then move on. Now, when it comes to the, and that was actually much longer than I needed it to be. Now, talking about the tournament, there's going to be 144 golfers in this field. You obviously have your normal cut, top 65 and ties. Strength of field is 213. Again, this is based off of the old criteria of putting strength of field points together. Again, I like this better than the current rating scale because, you know, seeing a difference between 10 to 12 is hard to figure out, you know, just how crazy that strength of field is compared to another course. 200 versus 800 last week, you kind of can tell that this is a very, very weak golf tournament compared to last week and compared to the week before. All those elevated events had strength of fields over 800. This is 213. You can see it's pretty top heavy. You know, we have Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, Matt Fitzpatrick. You can kind of see the point totals that they contribute to this score right here. Their OWGR score. We have, how many golfers is this? 7 golfers that have double-digit points that go towards the strength of field. And this actually equals 103. So the 7 golfers, let's see. So Brian Harmon, Keegan Bradley, and then the top 5, they make up half of the strength of field points. It's a very weak field. Let's put it that way. And we're going to have 4 open qualifiers. I will add those to the cheat sheet once I get that information. I'll most likely get it from DraftKings tomorrow at some point. I shouldn't say never. Most of the time, I don't care about those 4 open qualifiers, if I'm being honest. A lot of times, I don't care to update their data on these spreadsheets, and I don't really include them in my lineups. There's a possibility that a Corey Connors can emerge from one of them. If you don't know about Corey Connors, he Monday qualified and won. I think it was one of the Texas events. So too did Nate Lashley at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So those things can happen. But most of the time, I don't necessarily care. And we're probably not getting to those players anyways. So just throwing that out there. The field's 144. I think DraftKings has 142 golfers, but 2 people have already withdrawn. I have not updated on the spreadsheet yet, but I will. Aaron Rye is one of them. I know that for sure. And I can't remember who the other golfer is. But again, I'll update that on the cheat sheet right after this video. So just note that. That's your tournament and course information. Way longer than it needed to be.